So what we have here is a 2008 RDX Acura that won't start, and you can look on YouTube and find a bunch of videos on diagnosing this, but there's some pretty simple steps that you take. First one is check the battery, because that's a lot of no start issues. And I did actually turn on the headlights on high beams, make sure that they stay on while trying to start the car. That's a good one to try. You really need two people for that, one person inside the car and one person outside, to see if the high beams dim drastically. If they don't, it's probably not the battery. And I actually took my battery out of the car and then I hooked it up to a battery charger, and it was reading full charge, so I knew already that it wasn't the battery, and it was just making a sort of a clunking sound when I tried to start it up, sort of a it just wasn't turning over. So I was pretty sure that it was the starter motor, and ordered a new one off of Amazon, and I'm going to show you a step-by-step simple guide to how to replace your own starter motor. So now we have the hood open. What we're going to do is start pulling the parts out of the car that are necessary in order to access the starter motor. One of the first steps before we start unclipping wires and harnesses is removing the battery terminal. So we'll just loosen this up, this screw right here. Take the battery terminal off right there. That'll disable us from getting any nasty shocks. The first part we need to remove is the coolant reservoir right here. You remove this bolt, which I already untightened, and then the tube that goes to the radiator. This simply unhooks like this. I'll try to attach it with a little rubber band right here so the coolant doesn't leak out. And then this whole unit just lifts right on out of this area right here. Just pulls right on out. And this is with the rubber band attached, just so we can place that aside and the coolant doesn't leak out in the meantime. Next step is to remove the fan right here. So it actually has two fans, and it's loose right now because I've actually already untightened these bolts. But you would unscrew this bolt and this bolt right here, and then there is a clip down here. This is the wire with the clip or the harness. It clips onto the other harness down here. You have to unclip that, and then you can actually pull this piece out. Some people like to detach this bracket right here in order to get this fan safely out without damaging the radiator. You can do it without doing that, but you know, either way is okay. And the fan just comes right on out like that, easy. Okay, so now the fan is out. Now we have a much easier space to work with. We have the next part is the bar, and behind this bar you can see the starter motor, which is this unit right here. So we have to take this bar off, and I've already started to loosen this bolt and this bolt right under this part right here. So once we remove those, then we can access the starter motor. Now in order to remove this bar, there's a wiring harness attached to it as well. Behind this bar there are two connections. There's this green clip where you just squeeze each side of the green clip and it pulls out, and that's this wire that runs across. Then there's these wires here, and this is connected to this separate clip. So we'll pull the green one off first, and then we'll work on this. So now that we have the green clip off right here, we can turn the bar over carefully, and you can see that this little piece right here is keeping this little tab is keeping this harness on. So just have to pull down on the tab and it should slide off just like that. Now we can take the bar out. On the left of the wiring harness. On the back side of the starter motor right there is a blue clip. Not the green clip on the left, it's the blue, sorry, not the green clip on the right, it's the blue clip on the left, right here, this one. We have to squeeze these with a pair of pliers, and then that wire will come right off. And that is with the clip off, right there. You can also get a better angle if you look through this section right here. You can see it when you're taking it off. Okay, so next wire we need to loosen up, well, is it's actually this clip right here. So if we just pull down on this piece comes right off, and that'll help us access the starter motor and the clips and the wiring harnesses on the starter motor as well. And on the right of this piece I also disconnected this piece just so that that wire is freer as well. So now directly on the starter motor we need to take this cable off right here, push down on this tab, and it will actually slide right off. And then the next cable is the big boy right over here. I'll pull that off. We're going to undo this bolt, and then all of this that is connected will swing right away. For these hard to reach spots, I'm using this little stubby right here. This really helps me get into these tight spots, especially to get this bolt out. For the bolts on the starter motor we need a 17mm socket, and for the bolt the other side we'll need a 14mm. So these two bolts, especially the one on the back, are difficult to get to, but you can get to them. They require a bit of effort, a bit of elbow grease to get to them, but two hands on the socket wrench you can get them off. Once that bolt is undone, the starter motor then pulls off out of position right there. Right on it. And that is it. It's our old starter motor. That's our culprit. So this is our new starter motor. Got this off at Amazon. Pretty good price. Much better than in the stores. In the big box stores anyway. Got one good review. Not many to choose from, but we'll see how it works for us. So now we just install the new starter motor, following the steps, back to front. Get these two bolts in, get them tightened up. I think that's the most difficult part. These two bolts are not very easy to access. We got our 14mm on now, it's the front 17mm. So we can get a picture of that. There we go. I'll tighten that up pretty good. Now we're going to put our main wire on. Clips in there and then just screws down. Make sure to put this retaining washer in before you put the bolt. And then this is a 1/2" nut for the bolt. This wiring harness was a little bit difficult to put on. I actually had to squeeze it together because the new clip on the new starter motor was a little bit thicker, so it was very tight. And now we just plug these back on, and the next piece is to put the bar back on. So we have our last bolt in on the coolant tank right here, and connected our tubing back up to the radiator. Everything looks good to go. So Got our new starter in down there. So now we're going to start this up. So let's see what we got here. Beautiful. That started right away.